Hello, this assignment is about testing an aircraft engine, and I believe that we can look at it as a state space model. The question is, what are the how do we define the state space? Presumably it's a Cartesian product of certain variables. Well, it's certainly going to be the sensors from the engine. It's going to be commands to the FADEC, commands from the FADEC. Do we need to look at anything else in understanding this system? Possibly the message to turn the power on and off. Possibly also input from the operator, pressing the switch, and also input from the operator typing the command panel. And also the operator observes what's on the display, so at least that. The operator might also observe other things that aren't coded in this diagram. The operator might observe noise from the engine, but that's not coded up here in the diagram, so we'll just stay with the diagram here. And are there any other variables that we need to be concerned with for a state space model? I think we've captured them all there. Let's point out that we could do another analysis though of the AETU, and here we're looking at a state space model which considers, again as before, we can look at the switch, the input panel, which are inputs from the operator, and possibly the input panel though is changed by the system, so there may be forms that are put up there by the system. We've got a display that's read by the operator. That could be some complex state itself. There's comms, so we've got a state model for the comms as well. So we can go down that far to look at these. And certainly this is the way that I would be thinking about the problem in terms of a state space. And we're looking at whatever variables we need to, whatever variables are relevant to particular problems. And I think we've got an abstract view of the architecture here where we assume that this is a simple computer. I'm just offering a caution there, that surely we know today that PCs are anything but simple, and this is obviously a very good model that could have been used on a computer 40 years ago. Doesn't actually prove that well, there would have been plenty of computers that you could have used it on, say 30 years ago. It doesn't actually prove that this is going to be easy to convert to a working model using today's technology. It may or may not be easy. Be reasonable to say that there's a year's work involved. Be reasonable to say that there's a year's project involved in setting up and building a simulator for this AETU. Well, what I'm trying to do, of course, here is buy a reasonable amount of time for myself. I suppose it would have been easy for somebody to say that, look, we could run a course on building simulators, and it's a 4-day course, and at the end of that course you'll actually be able to build a simulator in an afternoon. In fact, it's going to be an afternoon's discussion, but there's only 5 minutes work involved. You're just adding attributes to some of these subsystems here. So I'm sure we could develop a case like that. I'm sure we could develop a case that it's a state model, and the question that I've got is, have we clarified what are the states that we're looking at? It's a state model, but what are the states that we're looking at? So we're talking about the thing in an event. We're talking in terms of it being in a hazardous state. So I think this is the way I would interpret things.